As promised, I am answering Cade Marsh's question from May 4th, a week and a half ago. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, number 323. This is the one about what is the JKD brand. As you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. If you're catching the simulcast over on the YouTube, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as well. But of course, the best thing you can do is to share this video and spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. And yes, whenever I do not use my headphones, this is what happens. Okay, so my apologies. All right, so here's what Cade said. I'll just read a little bit of what he said in his original post. I follow multiple JKD forums, and they all seem to follow the same common narrative and are overshadowed by bickering. Rarely do I see an informative thread that educates the audience or contributes to the advancement of the art. And that is something that I most definitely could have written myself. So ultimately, he asked people to define, by answering a series of questions, Cade asked people to define Jeet Kune Do as a brand. Right, so I'll just run through these for you quickly. Number one, what are JKD's values, as in the principles that guide us? So I think on a physical level, JKD's major guiding principles is to be as simple, as direct, and as effective as possible while eschewing a classical approach to your technical proficiency. That's pretty much what Bruce Lee laid down as a major guiding principle, right? What are JKD's best attributes? My take on anytime that you use a superlative, then you're asking for people's personal opinion. So JKD's best attributes will vary from person to person. I will say, however, that in the late 1960s, early 1970s, what made Jeet Kune Do unique, because this was his subtext for JKD's attributes, right? The things that make JKD unique. In the late 60s and early 70s, I think Jeet Kune Do was probably the most notable non-classical martial arts system, which openly advocated for looking at other martial art methods and even openly advocated for looking beyond martial art, looking at other activities to see how they could inform your martial art prowess. What is JKD's objective or purpose? Again, that's subjective. People will have different answers for that because Jeet Kune Do does not exist in a vacuum. And so it doesn't possess a single objective or purpose, or even necessarily any preset objectives or purposes. Jeet Kune Do is a tool which is meant to be used to achieve the objective or the purpose set by the user. Right? There's a quote in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. If you ever tried to track down every place where Bruce Lee wrote Jeet Kune Do is, I think you'd come up with a pretty long list of things that Jeet Kune Do is, right? So to say its objectives or purposes are just this or that, not really. There's I looked this one up just before I went live. In the Tao, Bruce Lee says Jeet Kune Do has no definite lines or boundaries, only those you make yourself. So I think that underscores once again the importance of individualism in Jeet Kune Do. Question 4 was, if Jeet Kune Do was a person, not Bruce Lee, right? So we're talking about Jeet Kune Do as a person. What personality traits would Jeet Kune Do project? I say flexibility of mind and body, inquisitiveness and a thirst for knowledge, directness in achieving goals and directness in dealing with issues and perhaps even directness in dealing with people. What art or systems are our biggest competitors? When it comes to the physical aspect of this, any of a martial art method, any of a martial art school would be a competitor for Jeet Kune Do. When it comes to the business of it, it is also any of a martial arts school, but then it is also any of a physical activity. Again, because we're talking about branding, so we have to talk about business a little bit. Question 6 is, who is Jeet Kune Do's ideal target audience? I would think the ideal target audience would be people who either possess those personality traits that I just described or seek to possess them. Flexibility of mind and body, inquisitiveness, a thirst for knowledge, directness in achieving goals and in dealing with issues and people. What is JKD's promise to students? I say the promise should be that the art will aid the ardent student in developing well-roundedness as a martial artist and as a human being. That was the promise that I made to students back when I ran my school. Question 8, we're almost done. Why do some students leave Jeet Kune Do? For the same reason that anybody leaves anything. You get bored, you lose your enthusiasm for it, and it's like, I'll go do something else. I'll go be somewhere else, right? Now, conversely, what makes a student loyal to Jeet Kune Do? I say, if the learning process, if the teaching and the training are designed from beginning to never end, okay, not beginning to end, because we're talking Jeet Kune Do, from beginning to never end, if it answers the question, what will it do for me? Then you can expect people to stay around. If at the end of every class, people feel like they've gotten something out of it, like they have progressed in some shape or form, then they'll keep coming back for more of it. If you're satisfying that desire for moving forward, I think people will stay loyal. And the instructor, of course, has to be somebody who can engender that kind of loyalty in people. And the last one, what is JKD's brand essence? A single short sentence that summarizes all of the above. I am not one who is known for short sentences, but this is mine. Jeet Kune Do is the perfect vehicle for developing the important traits which exemplify the actualization of the total human being. Let me say that one more time because it's not a short sentence. Jeet Kune Do is the perfect vehicle for developing the important traits which exemplify the actualization of the total human being. So, as a brand, this is where we fail. Jeet Kune Do is something that should have a huge reputation around the world as a recognizable martial art entity. Instead, the rift between the different JKD camps, the constant bickering that Cade mentioned at the beginning of his post and that I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, this is what has led Jeet Kune Do to being on the precipice of becoming totally irrelevant in the martial art world. There are people who are well-known, extremely famous martial artists, extremely famous martial art actors, action people, and what have you. And when you do the digging, you find out that there's so many Jeet Kune Do connections to these people. But you got to dig for it. It's not on the surface. It should be on the surface because the irony, the greatest irony, is that Jeet Kune Do is the property of the most famous martial artist and the most famous martial arts actor of the modern era. So how is it that his martial arts system is not as famous, is not as well known as he himself is? That's my take. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. That's all I got to say about this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. At paypal.me/unifiedma Miami, paypal.me/unifiedma Miami. The Jeet Kune Do Journey Volume 1 is available, raw but edited version. Jeet Kune Do Journey Volume 1, paypal.me/unifiedma Miami. You can also support me and the show over at jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this. Coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, all that good stuff. jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link. On Friday, so we're heading out to Denver. So if I can get checked into the hotel and set everything up and what have you, we'll do an episode of Ask Me Anything. There are a couple of dramatic things that have gone on over the past few days that I think are worthy of commenting on. So if you guys have questions, email them to me at jkdrebel@gmail.com, or when I put up the postcard, put them in the comment section there. And again, this is contingent on my being able to check into the hotel and set up in my room or whatever, and we'll do an episode of Ask Me Anything. And that is it. Today's a pastel day. I went with the light blue. Okay, so you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Sorry about that hiccup, and we'll talk soon. Take care.